You're playing with many groups, and after all, you're playing with Deep Purple. What is your experience with Deep Purple?
Well, it's live. It's a very short experience. Tonight here in Zagreb was only the third show we did live, but we did do an album, work on an album for nearly 1 year. Not on the album, but rehearsals and everything else and writing. So, as far as Deep Purple is concerned, I'm pretty much very new in town. But I know Roger and Richie for over 10, almost 11 years now, so that's kind of very comfortable. And my impressions of Deep Purple are that it's going to be equally as comfortable, and we're having a good time, so far.
Okay. Mr. Glover, after all these years, Deep Purple is still one of the leaders band in hard rock. Deep Purple is disbanded, twice time, yeah?
What?
Disbanded twice time. 2 times.
Disbanded,
yes. Would you like to tell us something about your experience with Deep Purple?
When you say it's disbanded, it's actually only completely disbanded once before, and that was in '76, but it has been through its changes. I mean, the first change happened was when Ian Gillan and I joined, and that was in '69. And in '73, we changed. Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale joined, and then later on, Richie changed. He left, and Tommy Bolin joined. So the band only stopped really once, and that was in '76. And there was then a gap. That was the real gap when Deep Purple wasn't in existence, but the music was in existence. And in fact, the reason why we came back together again is because of the music. Because the music still got played on the radio, people still bought it. There were still fan clubs and appreciation societies. And there were lots of rumors about us getting back together again, none of which came from us. But it became one of those things in the music business. Sooner or later, Deep Purple are going to get back together again. And there was no intention to do that, really, for a long time, until '83, when any rumors were actually well-founded because they came from within the band. And by the time '84 came around, we actually did it. And I can't really speak for all the other, the Mark IIs, the Mark IIIs and IVs and so on and so forth. The Mark II lineup was the one that was special to me, and I think is generally considered to be the one that really made it, the Smoke and the Water era. And it was fantastic to actually find each other again. And it continues to be fantastic. I mean, even though we've had a change now, Joe's our new singer, the feeling in the band is really good. There's still an electricity when we play together. There's a certain chemistry. And that's really what keeps us going, is that chemistry.
The night before you play in Budapest, and tonight you play in Zagreb. So how do you feel in Zagreb? I mean, can you compare Hungary audience with Zagreb audience?
Well, I think we did very well tonight. The audience was very alive and great reception. I think the band was better tonight than we were last night, in all truthfulness. I'd say that the audiences are primarily enthusiastic in these countries because of the lack, I think, of a lot of groups that come through here. The traffic isn't very thick, you know, so I think they haven't suffered what we call burnout, whereas in America or Britain or anywhere else, you have so many bands coming through all the time. It's just another band. But that's good. That's to their credit because they keep it fresh and they keep it new. They keep it honest, you know, and we're glad to be at least one of the bands that come here and can experience this overwhelming reaction by the people here. They have a lot of heart and a lot of feeling.
You also sing some old stuff from Deep Purple, like Burn and Smoke and Water.
Right. We tried to cover pretty much, you know, different incarnations of Deep Purple because we don't really feel that the name is the symbol of what it stands for, really. I mean, there was a Deep Purple before Roger. There was a Deep Purple before me. I mean, David came in. We have nothing but great players and people that have gone on to do great things. Whether it's unfortunately Tommy Bowen, but Coverdale's, you know, Whitesnake, and Glenn Hughes is coming out with a new solo project. And anybody that's been in this band has come out and done tremendous success. It's because they have class people and class players. I don't mean to sound like that's a stroke to me or anything, but in fact, I didn't think of it that way. But
you're the exception to the rule.
I'm the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it right downhill.
But he sings great.
Okay. Vote of confidence.
Mr. Glover, can you say something to us? I mean, all magazine, especially in USA, put it Deep Purple into the heavy metal band. So would you like to tell us what is correct? Deep Purple play hard rock or heavy metal?
Deep Purple play music. You know, I mean, it's always for journalists to pigeonhole things, to put them in little compartments, and this is this and this. And the only reason they do that is because it's actually very difficult to talk about music without listening to it. It's in the same way that it's very difficult to describe a painting. You have to look at it. So music's one of those strange things, and as soon as you start categorizing things, then it becomes almost like a sport. Are you for this kind, or are you for this kind? I understand what they're talking about, and to me, we always have been and always will be a hard rock band, because we play sort of pop music, but it's bluesy, so that makes it kind of rock, and it's kind of more free. You know, it's not pretty tunes. It's a player's music as opposed to a songsmith's music. And heavy metal, to me, the way heavy metal that I see anyway, is much more narrowly defined. It takes as its role model possibly hard rock. It takes the icons, it takes the little clues that hard rock gives you, and just takes those little bits and does them really loud and really hard. So it's a kind of one-dimensional kind of music. And I really think that the kind of music that we play, which is what we play naturally, is a music that came out of a lot of different influences. Growing up in England, there wasn't a rock station, so you heard gospel music, you heard classical music, you heard pop music, you heard blues, you heard all kinds of different things. And to me, it still is that way. We listen to a lot of different kinds of music. Hard rock is much more narrow. So I wouldn't categorize us as hard rock at all. I mean,
heavy metal.
Sorry.
Heavy metal, I think most people get it confused anyway. I think just because they hear a strong, dynamic band, they think that's heavy metal. I know most parents would think that of their children, the kids, but that's not true. You know, it's not true at all. Judas Priest is heavy metal. You know.
See, I don't really care. If people want to call us heavy metal, that's their problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a label.
You know.
Storm is singing instead of Jan Gillan. So how do you feel?
You're going to ask him that with me sitting
Yes.
here?
Are you asking him that?
No, you're asking you that.
No, he's asking you that.
You're asking me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to tell him with him sitting here?
Yeah.
How do I feel about singing with the band? Fantastic about singing with Deep Purple. How do I feel about Ian Gillan? I think he's a great artist, a great singer. I think he's doing, he's got his own projects, and he's going to do what he wants to do. I think that's probably why he's doing what he wants to do, is because it wasn't exactly what Deep Purple had in mind at the time.
Someone asked Joe the other day, how does it feel to be a substitute? And Joe answered, I think quite correctly, that Joe is no substitute. I mean, Joe's his own person, he's his own singer. He's not taking anyone else's place. And he has his own character, and he'll make his own mark.
That's right.
It's nothing to do with Ian Gillan.
Yeah, Ian Gillan was Mach 2, you know, and Mach 5. And, you know, it's not replacing anybody.
You can't compare. You know, Ian Gillan's great. I mean, he's a really good friend of mine, and I love him dearly. And he's a certain kind of singer. He's a character. He's a unique, creative force. He is
very much.
He's irreplaceable. In fact,
that's right.
He will always be Ian Gillan. And Joe's not a substitute for Ian Gillan.
Just me.
Joe's his own person.
You know,
You can't compare.
I fit within the context of Deep Purple with the same affinity and the same soul of Deep Purple, but I don't try to be I don't try to be anybody else. In fact, I'm trying to be me, you know, as we all should, trying to be yourself, no matter what they say.
Free to be me, as we say.
As we say in Black Knights, someday I'll be free to be me.
Okay. What is next for Deep Purple?
Breakfast.
Breakfast.
Sleep.
Only.
Sleep before breakfast.
Before breakfast.
Right now, I think it's important to tour. Touring is very much a part of our lives. We have to tour because it's our lifeblood. Touring, live music, when you play on live, there's nothing like it. You can't go in a studio.
It's great.
And ever get the same feeling for music as you can when you're playing live.
I mean,
in front of an audience.
Tonight, that audience.
different.
You know, you
And
got
actually,
10,000 people
tonight I think was a good gig for one good reason, and that is the audience were right there.
right in front of us. We could touch them.
Some places you go, the audience is so far back, you can't even see them with the lights on.
Yeah.
And it's a feeling of isolation on stage. And I don't like that. I like to feel an audience right there so you can see reactions and you can see what's
You
working
can
and
hear
what
them.
isn't working.
Smell them, hear them, touch them.
So we're going to be concentrating on that, on touring for the next however many months, 6 months or so. I think back in the studio. It's quick.
The Rock Cafe.
I heard something, and I don't know if it is true, that you are not playing in Italy.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
Italy wouldn't have.
No, the actual truth is we had lots of dates in Italy, but because of the war in the Gulf, things have changed. People's perception of going to large gatherings, they're afraid of terrorism, and it's become not only a political situation now. Rock and roll was always free, and now it's becoming a detriment to us. And it's, we don't have any beef with Saddam Hussein. We don't like what he's doing, but I don't think he should interrupt what we're doing. He has, if it's for political reasons and only that, and the occupation of Kuwait, then I don't see why he should join.
I don't think it's anything to do with
Interfere
him.
with
I think
us.
it's really to do with the Italian side of things, that they have what they consider a genuine fear of
Deep fear.
public meetings, that they think there's an attraction for terrorism. And so at the last minute, they cancelled out that part of the tour, which leaves us with a bit of difficulty. So we've had to rearrange things. But a lot of bands seem to think that it's a dangerous time, and they've decided to cancel tours, and some have flown back to the States and so on. And I don't think that time is here yet. I don't agree with the giving into panic syndrome. You can just as easily die in a car driving down the street. And the thing about running away from terrorist activity right now isn't going to deter me from doing what I do. I'm not going to change my life because of political situation. At the moment, I mean, it may change. If it gets really bad, then I'll reconsider that. But certainly at the moment, I see no reason to change what we're doing.
Yeah. Because we're a little bit afraid, because you are moving your dates from the 31 January to 7, is it?
Yeah, it was only because of this.
But what are you going to do? Are you going to run back to your house and stay inside?
Yeah.
That's no life. Life goes on.
Yeah. We apologize for the confusion, but we had no control over this. We didn't start the war.
Okay, only one more question about something that Deep Purple right now is one of the latest bands. I mean, with profile, for your profile music. Can you say something about new band which is compared to Deep Purple? Have you heard any band?
Comparative?
No,
Band?
compared.
Copies.
Yeah.
Oh, copies of
Yeah.
Deep Purple.
If anyone copies us in a very obvious way, and I've heard a couple of things recently. One's called The Charlatans.
UK Charlatans, yeah.
And that's just a very obvious rip-off, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't upset me at all. I think, fine. I mean, you can't really copyright a feel. If it's a piece of music that's copied, then it's a different matter. Then yeah, I'd be worried about that. But I think in general, when people take what we were doing years ago and just refine it a bit or change it a bit, it's really just
It's progression.
it's a thank you, the fact that they've listened to us in the past and they're using what they learned and they've made it better or changed it in some way to make it. After all, we did the same thing. You know, we're not in isolation here. We listen to other songs and go, oh, I like that song.
They stole, in other words.
We could write something like that, and we take the riff and change it a little bit, and we make it our own, and that's a normal course of action.
Yeah.
As long as you don't do it completely overtly, or in the new technical thing, if you don't sample it and just take a whole section of someone else's music and make it your own, that's a different
It's
thing.
more of an influence than a copy, I think.
But I think I take that as a compliment that people want to copy. It's fine.
Hard Rock Cafe.
Mr. Glover, are you going to still making your own projects?
Oh, probably. I don't have any right now. I don't have any in the works, but I'm the kind of person when I have some time off, all I do is work.
Time off?
I like to write music and I like to experiment, and I think it's usually about every 4 to 6 years I get up enough courage to do another solo album. So I think there will be another one, but it won't be soon. It'll be in a year or two.
Okay, Mr. Turner, you're playing with Rainbow. Can you compare maybe Rainbow and Right Now Deep Purple?
Rainbow was a little more pop-oriented, I think. I mean, I don't know. Rainbow was its own entity. You know, we had a different attitude about the band as opposed to the musical side of it, as well as the mental attitude of it was different. Even though Roger and Richie were both within the context of Rainbow and driving musical forces, leading forces in the band, I think that they knew that it was an offshoot of Deep Purple and it wasn't Deep Purple, and that was just a child of Deep Purple, more or less, to use an analogy. I feel the difference. You know, people ask me that question a lot, but I honestly feel the difference. There's no to me, it's very hard to compare them because I listen to a Deep Purple record, I listen to a Rainbow record. If you actually had them side by side, I think you'd see and hear a great difference. You know, it just seems synonymous right now because of the general personnel, but I think if you A-B'd each record of this Deep Purple record and the last Rainbow record, you'd see a difference. You'd hear a flavor difference, you'd singing difference, a playing difference, a writing difference. And I think it's just a favorite of the press to go after that one because it's so obvious. But when it's not the same. I actually went back and did this. This is why I'm telling you to take both products and listen. Because after a while I started to get confused and said, well, wait a minute, could I be wrong? But I'm not. It's a different entity. Deep Purple has much more of a mystery about it, you know, as the Rainbow really was more or less just straight up front, you know. It's deeper purple, and Rainbow has many more colors.
Hard Rock Cafe.
At the end, would you like to say something for Hard Rock Cafe audience?
Well, we just had a great time here, and we're looking forward to coming back. From my point of view, and we talked to some of the kids outside by the door. I know you did as well. When I came back, there's about 20 to 30 of them, and they're just the nicest people. You know, we signed autographs and we spoke and we talked, answered some questions, and it's the kind of people that I'd like to just sit down with sometime and have a cup of coffee with and talk. So they're good people.
The thing I found about hard rock audiences is that they're made up of real people.
Yeah.
Usually the people in the hardest hit economically in the towns, where, you know, the steel towns and the industrial towns, are the traditional of hard rock people, and they tend to be very loyal. If they like you, they stick with you, and they stick with you over years and years. And that's really the reason why we're still around, is because of the hard rock audience that's out there in the world. So, I mean, we are very indebted,
Thankful
to the fans.
Yeah.
You know. At the same time, we please ourselves musically, but the audience is what does it for us. It's always good to meet them.
Very welcome.